since, crikey, how old was I when I was diagnosed? I guess I was about 23, and my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, had gone off with work for 6 weeks to Italy, and I was absolutely fed up with the weight gain and just feeling enormous. I just felt like a heifer, that's the only way I can describe it, and just had enough. Whatever I was eating, I just felt like I was growing and growing and growing, and went to the doctor's surgery and said, I feel enormous, my skin's not fantastic, it's not as bad as many other sufferers, and I'm just feeling hairy and the hairs aren't in places where they should be. And she said, I think you've got polycystic ovarian syndrome, so that's no children for you. If you'd like to get out in the waiting room, and we'll do a blood test and then we'll send you to the local hospital for a scan. And I felt like somebody had just punched me in the stomach. It was just an awful experience coming from a woman who should be as compassionate about things like that. And she just wasn't. And so I went out into the waiting room and I had the blood test and they were positive, and I had a scan, and when I went for the scan with my mum, we sat in a room surrounded by women that were pregnant, that had healthy pregnancies and were looking forward to their children coming. And they tested my ovaries and there were cysts on my ovaries. And it was time to sit down and think about what had happened. From that, I sat down with my mum, and I come from a very caring and compassionate family, and we discussed it in length. When my husband came back from his travel, he was very supportive, and I said, you know, if we can't have a family, do you still want to be with me? We're not even married yet, and you know, we don't know. And he said, don't be so silly, we need to look into this more. And we went to see a gynaecologist through a practice called Benadryl that my mum has through working as a civil servant. And I went onto the internet and I discovered Verity, and it was like somebody had opened a double set of doors and set a light shining, really. And they needed somebody to support them with their event management and things like that, which is very much my background. So it was a two-wing approach of, this is fantastic, I've got somebody to hold my hand and tell me everything I need to know, and I can give something back by supporting them. So it was great. I had my family support, I had my partner support, and I'd found all these women that were equally as big, fat, hairy, spotty as I was at the time. And it didn't matter because I could sit in a room with them, and I felt great when I was with them. Well, I still lived in Essex at the time when I was diagnosed with polycystic ovaries, and I was very lucky. I had a two-prong attack. My mother was a civil servant, and therefore I could see a consultant through Benadryl, a practice based in London at the time, but they're now in Kent. And I also went to see a gynaecologist at Southend General Hospital, and the gynaecologist has been practicing for many years, and he's probably coming up to retirement now. He was useless. There's no other way to describe it. He said, go away and lose weight. He didn't give any structure to how I would do that, or the fact that my insulin needed to come down, or that if I cut down on certain types of food, it would help support the insulin. He said that there was really nothing else he could do unless I went away and lost weight, and if I wanted a family, then you just come on back and we'll be able to support you. It didn't matter that I was young, I wasn't ready for a family yet. It was just go away and get rid of that weight. It didn't matter that I had hair growing from bits that really shouldn't have been, and I had more spots than I should have. It was just very much, go away and lose weight. The only support he did offer was to go on the pill. He said that may help. But I come from a family suffer with varicose veins, and therefore my mum was always very wary for me to have that, and I took my mum's support from that and decided not to do it. So we very much came away with the attitude of, well, he obviously doesn't know what he's talking about because we've read the PCOS guide. We know more than he does, so we'll use that guide, we'll use Verity, and we'll do what we best can to try and get some of this weight off. When I joined Verity, it was already at a fantastic stage, and Catherine Williams, who was chair until last year, is an amazing woman, and Nick Mackenzie Smart, and they had a great shape of something they wanted to carry forward, but unfortunately people couldn't give their time. It's a voluntary commitment, and people have their jobs, and PCOS, as you may be aware, causes mild depression and things like that, so people have their highs and their lows. And when I came on board, I'm an international events manager, so I'm used to there being pools and pools of money to spend on exciting things. So I came in all guns blazing and saying, we'll do this, and we'll go here, and we'll go there. And they were going, hang on a minute, we need some money to go with that. So I was very passionate for them because they'd been so supportive to me. And I've met gynecologists, endocrinologists, all sorts of people through using them as chairs for these and speakers for these meetings that I would never have the opportunity to have ever met. Helen Mason, Professor William Ledger, you know, I have one-on-one consultations basically that I would never have the opportunity without having known Verity. It's horrendous. 3 years ago I was 19 stone and I made the decision to get some weight off, which I did through a programme called Lighter Life. And I lost just over 9 stone, and that was my commitment to myself. And I've put on a stone since then, but I've kept the majority of it off now for those 3 years. But PCOS does eat away, and I know that there are no scientific links with the mood swings and things like that, but you do have real deep lows, and then you have big highs. And when you're in a low, it doesn't feel good. You don't feel confident about yourself, you feel ugly, you feel revolting. And I'm just really grateful to have great friends and a fantastic husband that kind of makes you believe in yourself again. And also having Verity there and coming to things like this today, you think, yeah, no, I am okay, I'm all right. You know, I am a good person and I should believe in myself. My own concerns for having children, now that I've lost the weight, we're desperately trying to conceive. I have a few personal issues that I'm trying to deal with a consultant. I'm waiting to have a laparoscopy to find out whether I have endometriosis in addition to PCOS. I would dearly love a family, but I have 4 fantastic nephews, so worst case scenario, they'll always be in my life. And if not, my husband and I have said that we'll try for adoption and see how we get on.